Perfect. So we are going to start the building transactional application using BOPF today. So if you see here, we have the consumption view that we have created. So the underlying tables that underlying CDS views that are built using our basic CDS views, and they must have the field names according to the database tables. And there are another ways of taking an extra step at this place, but we do not want to do that. There are going to be some additional steps. So it's always better for us to think before we develop things. So if we are creating the CDSUs for transactional applications, so if we think that there is a transactional behavior, transactional functionality is involved in our business requirement, then we ensure creating our basic CDS views having the same database fields as a projection field as well. So that helps us make the business object understand the field names are exactly matching to the right active persistence annotation here. So this object model annotation is a must for building transactional applications. So I have pre-populated this object model annotation here to ensure no errors occurring with the field names that we have populated onto this one from the database table. So here, if you see the model category, it is business object. It's the only option available. You can ignore this one as well. But to specifically tell this, yes, this is a business object. We have specified model category business object, which influence of creates a BOPF node for us in the backend. And also this composition root. So this root is always applicable for the initial or parent CDS view. So in our case, yes, this is our header at the moment, and we have we are going to implement the items along with this header. So whenever user creates a trip, we will be creating the trip legs as well. So that's what our assumption and our motto as well. And these three annotations here under object model, so tells us what are the functionalities we want to enable for this part of transactional application. So create enabled, true; update enabled, true; delete enabled, true. And here, if you see the annotation, transactional processing enabled, whether the transactional processing enabled or not. So this annotation is a must at the transactional CDSU layer. So if you see here, I don't have any medium view type here. It's just a segregation. If you want to put a medium annotation, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so to segregate on which layer you are working on. Okay, so transactional, that's fine. And also the right active persistence. So this right active persistence is the place where we tell the framework, this is what my database table, go ahead and make these updates. So you might be thinking, okay, so this process of creating transactional applications, one view or one node is exactly possible with creation of one table. So it's going to be one-to-one relationship. So there are some other managed scenarios. So right now we are going to see the unmanaged. So the difference between managed and unmanaged: managed, we will be taking control on each and every step. So what we need to do on whenever a user creates a record, and the database update, locking, existence check, everything we are going to implement on our own. The unmanaged scenarios, so these two terms are more you will be hearing in future as well. So managed scenarios and unmanaged scenarios. Unmanaged scenarios, the completely we are giving control to the framework. So framework is generating something and it is doing something to achieve all the functionalities. So we will leave that as it is. So that's what the managed and unmanaged scenarios and situations. So this terminology is more important in terms of ABAP RESTful application programming. So there we will see more about this managed. So this keyword itself is required when we implement the behaviors for that particular application. So in this case, we are going to leave this as a unmanaged for this database table. We don't want to write insert statement or modify statement or something like that. So we are going to leave this with the business object or BOPF framework, whatever is going to generate after this activation. So if let me activate this one. So please be careful that I am at transaction layer. I'm not at consumption layer yet. I'm at transactional view layer. So once we activate this one, we see there is an icon generated here. Okay. So like how we saw for our OData services and the view extensions and etc. So if there is a transactional functionality enabled on this CDS view, CDS entity, whatever, and there will be a icon enabled to represent there is a business object created for this one. So if you click on this one, it's directly take you to the business object. And this is something we should be looking at, because this is where all the functionalities we will be achieving, and it has more functionalities built into it. So here, if we look at the options on this layout available, we see the source CDS view here. What is the source CDS view? It's a transaction layer, whatever composite view that we have created for trip header and planner together, items together. And also there is a constants interface created for this one. So in this constants interface, we will be having all these information. Let me open, where is that one? Yeah. So in that one, we will be having all these association values and field property values, everything created in this particular one. And if you are keen to look at this business object in the backend, so this is the generated one. Please remember that one. So we have not created BOPF. So in this place, if you click on open, and if you place this business object name, the same name has been created, the business object name and your transactional CDSU name, CDS entity name, both are same if you see here. So, and also we have seen that if you go to open this one, and this time you will see a business object also included in this search list. So whereas you will understand that, okay, so there is a business object created for this one, there might be transactional behavior exist for this particular CDS entity. That's what we should understand. Earlier we did not see this business object when we try to open or search for this CDS entity. And if I open this one, it's gonna open the BOPF object here. And if you're familiar with this one, you can traverse through all the available properties and things like that here. So this is a GUI way of representing this one, and here we will not see any change enabled for us, because this is a generated one, and we won't be able to make any changes on this particular BOPF object, business object, using the BOPF transaction code here. And in here we will be able to see all the information. And also, if you see, there are two links in here. Go to the root node of this BO, go to the root node. Okay, go to the nodes of this BO and go to the root node. And if we have any sub nodes, and they will display here. So these are the sub nodes and etc. But there are no sub nodes available for this one. That's the reason it is just showing only one business object here. And if I go to overview here and go to root node, and if you see, this is the root node of this one, because we have only one node, and now we might not see a difference between the root node and the node we are looking at it. But if you see here, we have a lot of information available on this particular layout here. So source CDSU, we know that this is the source CDSU and persistent structure, and it uses, the business object uses several structures internally to map whenever it is going to the UI and whenever it is coming back to the backend and etc. So it generates several structures and table types on the runtime whenever we try to activate our CDSU along with the transactional processing enabled. So they all will be listed down here. So if we want any of these structures inside our classes, then we can make use of these structures straight away. And if you see combined structure and combined table type, so table types and structures are created, and database table. This is the database table that we have given in our write active persistence here. So the same has been stored in the business object level. And if you see here, these little checkboxes here, so delete enabled, update enabled, and create enabled. So they all are enabled, checked for us right now. And the same functionality is going to be implemented by the BOPF framework. And here we have some node behaviors available here, actions, determinations, and validations. So these three are very much important for us. So let us go ahead and see our application after activating this one, and I will go through one after another, so that makes understand very easily. Okay, so let me go here to our transactional CDSU. Yes, on the transactional layer, we have enabled the transactional behavior, and we said yes, this is the composition root, and we said right active persistence is this, and etc. So we have configured this one. And now this is not the one which we are using on the application. So we are at the transactional level, but we need to do something on our consumption layer as well. So if we go to consumption layer, this is the consumption layer here, and let me take this out. So in this place, this is what has been published as OData service. And here, if you see, we are not using the transactional process enabled. So we don't want this to be the transactional view. So this is going to be our consumption view here. So if you want, we can specify that view type as consumption, not to confuse. So we are just delegating from consumption view. Okay, look, I am not the actual transactional processor, but there is a transactional processing enabled. But if this has to happen, you have to consult the one which I am using. So whatever it can be, that is not me, but instead of me, it can be on the sub CDSUs that are being used in this CDS view, consumption CDSU. So it's just the delegation indicator. So we shouldn't be writing the transactional processing enabled at this place. It has to be delegated. And this one, it's again, we have to tell the consumption layer that what are the transactional processings are enabled. That's it. And here we do not need to tell the right active persistence, because this is not the transactional layer. So the transactional layer is responsible for having the right active persistence and composition root annotation, the transaction processing enabled annotations, but not this one. Okay, so let me activate this one, consumption CDSU as well. It's activating. Perfect. It is activated right now. And let me go ahead and look at my application. Let's see, at least this time it lets us reflect the changes on Launchpad, but applications, where is this? Thara applications, and yes. Perfect. So if you see here, I can see create button and the delete is disabled at the moment. So if you see, if I click on this one, delete will be enabled at the moment. Okay. So if I just select this particular something, and if I click on delete, it goes and deletes from the table. Object deleted. So now still, as we do not have any of the item transactional processing enabled on this one, if you go and look in the back end, still we will see our where is this one, items. So if I execute this one and apply the filter on that trip ID, whatever has been deleted, 7 has been deleted. Come on. It's taking a bit time. Okay, it's taking time here as well. So the thing what I wanted to tell here is, so we have implemented transactional processing only for header at the moment. So we have not implemented any transactional processing on our items. So let it load. Okay. Yeah. So in here, if you see, if I let me copy this one, copy apply filter on trip ID. So if you see, my items are not deleted yet. That is because I have not implemented any transactional processing on my items. Okay, so we will be doing that soon. And if you go into the application, so this time I have not gone to Web IDE for regenerating and deploying it. So this is what I was telling you. So it should reflect automatically. So we shouldn't be doing regeneration of the application or something like that. So it has to happen automatically. So if I create create a trip here, so if you see, so I have got a trip ID from country to country and a trip status and all these things available right now on screen. But in fact, I will not be asking user to populate all these information. So I can make them read only, or I can completely make them unavailable whenever user creating a new trip request, right? So by default, whenever user creates a request, user shouldn't be able to influence anything to manipulate with the trip status, right? So, and also same with trip ID as well. So trip ID has to be generated automatically using our number range object, and it shouldn't be entered by the user. So these all things how we are going to manage or manipulate. So that is all we will be doing using BOPF. So here, if you see how we are going to achieve, that's going to be using the determinations. So whatever the determinations we see here, so we will be determining something whenever we go into the UI side. So if we want to determine something, and it can be during create, or it can be during save. So whenever user click on save here, or right bottom here, so even that time this determinations will be triggered. Along with it, validations also will trigger. So if we want to validate some value here, so whether the user entered the correct value on this from country or not, so those kind of validations, or if the user entered from country and to country same, if we have some set of validations to be implemented, then we will be using the validations here. So what kind of validations and how we validate, we will see that. So right now we are just matching to the UI. So which event or which behavior involves at what place. Okay, and that's good. So now let me go ahead, and these admin data anyway, they are going to be read only for all the time. Okay, so we never, even if user picks a record, existing record, leave this page, we don't want that. And if user picks this record and user wants to display, so even in this case, all this trip status and admin data, they're all going to be read only. So in such cases, what we do, we straight away go into our consumption CDSU and we just say object model dot read only for all these fields. So trip status, it's going to be read only. Object model dot read only true. We make these true. So let me repeat this for all created by and created on, changed by, changed on, and changed at. Okay, so that's perfect. Let me activate this. And where is my metadata for this one? So metadata extensions, trip planner. And here we are saying some fields are UI hidden as well. So this UI hidden is going to be applicable only for the UI, but there is something consumption dot hidden as well. If I go into my gateway client, so let me see here, trip planner. So trip planner, THC, trip planner CDS. So if I go ahead and execute this one, let me add metadata here, execute. In this metadata, if you see for created on, this created on will be available. So created on, we see here, right? And whenever you make this as consumption dot hidden, so in that case, that field itself will not be published to outside. So that will not be part of metadata itself. So if I say consumption dot hidden true for this one, and also for this one, and in this case, this field will not be published out of this system at all. Okay, let me trigger my metadata request again. What happened to this? Okay, metadata cleanup cache and execute this again. What happened? Annotation consumption is only allowed for projection views. Okay, so projection views. Let me activate this one. Consumption dot read only true. and I would like to try this one at consumption view level. Let me try. So metadata cleanup again. Let me try this one. So if you see, we were writing on the metadata. On the metadata, this annotation was not allowed. Change that. Let me try searching for this one. So this field is not available at metadata itself. And if you see this, change that, not change that. We want this change that consumption. We don't want this changed on and created on. So these two fields we do not want to be part of the OData itself. So if you look at this one at the moment, created on, it should be available as I have not executed the request. The created on is available. Now I'm getting the metadata, the latest metadata, and if you see, the field is not available in the OData itself. So if you come across any such kind of requirements in your business place, so then you can simply hide those fields not getting exposed to the outside world. And this is not only applicable for those fields, but if you want to do it, if you can do it for your um, associations, which are navigation properties as well. Okay. So usually, if you don't want this association to be part of to be part of OData service, then obviously you will be removing the association from here itself. That's another, but it can be applied onto the associations, navigation properties as well. So let me activate this one. And if I go to the application here, and if I just refresh this one, okay, if I go to create, now I still see these fields enabled, not impacting, working sometimes and not working other times. Okay, anyway, let me refresh the whole launchpad, and let me go and pick this one. Let me go to create, and nope, it is not being applied. Anyway, that's fine. Now it's time for me to go to my web ID. Login. Did I UI model object model dot read only? Yep, created that. Created by. Where is this one? Yep. Okay, and let me try to execute this one from here. Let me click on the tile. backend credentials. Okay, good. And if you see on this version, it is not showing the create text here. Instead, it's showing the plus sign. So that's what the difference between the versions. So each version will be behaving differently. So if you see here, I see my changes reflected, admin data and whatever the change data and trip status, everything. So they all became read only here, right? So the same thing if we have for trip ID as well. So the trip ID, again, it has to be read only. We should not allow the user to make any changes onto this trip ID. Let me go into trip ID and let me apply this read only annotation. That's perfect. So we know that it's gonna work for our trip ID here whenever we click on it. But let us check the value helps for these ones. So we already have the value helps for from and to country. They are perfect at the moment. So if I try to save this one, as this has been made as key, and this key will stop us proceeding further. So this is the BOPF framework validation, and we are not validating anything at this place. Okay. And if we want to make from country and to country mandatory, we can do that. So yes, of course, if we are creating a trip and these two fields are mandatory for us, from and to countries, let us make mandatory them from our annotations itself. So where is this from country? Let's go to from country, and this annotation again is going to be the object model annotation. It's pretty straightforward. Object model dot mandatory true. So that's what the annotation we write to make this field mandatory. And also to country, let's make the to country also mandatory. Now it's done. So let us activate this one. So perfect. Let me go back and refresh it, or rather refreshing it. Let me relaunch it. So let's go to create. And in this one, if you see the from country or to country are made as mandatory. So if you click on save, it's says again the key field is missing. The key field, how we are going to populate that particular key field. So that one, as I mentioned, that is possible through the determinations. So we can populate or reserve a number for create, and the same number will be used for each and every time whenever user works on that particular request. So to do that, let us go into the determinations, and let's try to understand a little more on that. So this is the business object which we are working on at the moment, and we know that we are on the node overview, root node overview on this one, and going to the determinations, and these are the major behaviors. But apart from this, we have something listed down here as well. So alternate keys, properties, associations, actions, determinations, validations, authorizations. So these are all the options available on this particular one. So if you look at these properties, whatever the properties we have on our database table, they all will be a part of this one, and also the BOPF representation of keys here, parent key, root key, and etc. So they all for internal purpose, and they all are part of these structures, persistent structure, whatever we are saying here. So framework will create those structures and lists as part of the properties here. And if we have any associations, they all those associations will be displayed here. You might be thinking about the associations that we have mentioned are used on our consumption, but please be mindful that the transactional layer is not above the consumption. So it's a one layer less than consumption, and we will not see any of these things on the below layer. Even the better idea to make all these object model data read only and etc. So these all annotations, it's worth or meaningful if we can provide at the business object layer itself, because we will be able to easily manipulate if something needs to be handled dynamically in the sense we will be having another way of calculating these fields here that are displayed. So right now we are saying, okay, straight away go ahead and make them read only, go ahead and straight away make them mandatory here, but there may be conditional determinations as well. So if the user selected from country, then make my from state as mandatory. If user selected to country, then make the to country as mandatory. So in those situations, they are not going to be that straightforward or fixed values like we are doing on our consumption layer. So that has to be dynamically determined. So in those cases, we cannot come on to the one layer up and we can manipulate things being the down layer. So that's the reason we recommend to put all the annotations, the object model relevant annotations at the transaction layer itself. So that's fine. And these associations, basically, even if you look at this transaction layer, we have one association and it is exposed as well. Why I'm not able to see those associations here? So the associations that we build at our CDSU layer, they are completely specific to this CDS layer or CDS level entities. But if you look at this, this is completely an application layer, which is a business object, ABAP layer point of view, and it doesn't have any other business object associations. That's what here associations means. Associations are specific to their areas. So if you think about this association is for CDS views, and these associations are with respect to the business object. So whenever we say business object, if the items has the transactional behavior, and if we specify some relevant annotations related to the object model, then obviously those associations are gonna come under this business object. We will see that. Okay, and now we are going to the determinations right now. And in the determinations, if you see, we have a class already created for this one in the determinations. So action and field control. The name has been named as action and field control. So this has been generated as part of the CDS view activation. So whenever we activate with a transactional behavior, so these determinations automatically get created. In the right, in the next column, implementation class, if you see, so we have a custom class created. Whenever we see D here, it's going to be determinations. And if you have actions here, so A here, so this A means actions. And similarly, if we have any validations and a class, that class is going to be generated with a V, ZCL underscore TH underscore V, something like that. So they are the naming conventions for these particular actions, determinations, and validations. And authorizations, they are going to be AU authorizations. There will be a class already. And if we want to implement additional authorization checks, we can come here and put the authorization checks inside the BO as well. And if we go to the determinations for now, and if you click on control and click on this class, it will take us to the class for this particular one. So in this one, if you see, there is a interface and a super class as well. Methods, yeah. So let me open this class in our SE24 for better understanding. Okay. So if you see here, we have few methods available here. So check delta, and execute. So this execute is the one which we will be using for writing our determinations. And in this particular signature, if you see here, so this signature will give us the data and modify, and if there are any errors, we need to notify and etc. And it will even give us the context of this one and the key as well. So being already worked on the code-based OData services, so we can easily map these importing parameters. So if you see IO read, so this will provide the capability to read the data from the context. So let me, so these classes are changeable here on the SE24, luckily. So otherwise, this Eclipse doesn't show me what are all the parameters available on this particular method. So I won't be, so for some reason, I don't like this way of doing it. I like SE24. So if we want to read the data, I will read in the instance. If you see here, we have several methods available in this particular instance. So if you use retrieve, it's going to give us the data. If we export this IV node and IT key, so this IV node is again is going to be the key field, the key which we get from ISCTS context. So if you see here, the node key, this is the node key we just need to pass on to this IV node. So let's take ISCTX hyphen node key, and same parameter whatever we get inside this one, IT key. And here the beauty is we have the parameters before image as well. So what this before image, so we can understand very easily that this before image is, let's say user has launched a page for editing, let's say. So if you see, these edit and delete, everything has been provided by the framework itself. If I go on to edit, if you see the GB and IN, they have been came into automatically edit mode. So if I changed this to NL, for example, so but if I click on save here, and this is after making changes, but with GB, that is what is called the before image. So if we want the before image data, whichever the original data, then we pass this as true. So then unchanged, you will get unchanged data from this method. So by default, it's going to be false. So it's not, it will give you the latest data, whatever has been changed from the UI. And if you want to make any changes, then it's absolutely fine with us. So let us we still have additional functionalities. So if we want any specific fields, okay, I don't want all the data, you give me only from country and to country. So we can input those field names. The framework will give you only those field values. It will not give you all the data. Okay, so let me uncomment this ET data. ET data. So in this one, to understand, if you see the IO read, this is the interface. How I proceed, I just go ahead and look for the signature, what the signature is and what type it is going to be, and etc. I think that may be silly to mention with you, so you might also be doing the same thing. So display, and if I go into retrieve, it will show me what is the ET data reference. So it's going to be an index table. So that means it's not telling me any specific data type here. So this is where we take help from our business object. So in the business object, we have seen some table types are created for this node. So this is what the table type, okay, trip planner. Let me go ahead and take this table type and create a table with that. So let me save this one and LT data, and let me give this LT data here. So now I have my data. Let us that is custom entity. Okay, don't want to do the custom entity right now. Okay, so this is activated. Let me put the external breakpoint, and let me go into my application, and let me try to save this one. If you see, I have came into my determinations class here. So if I look at my data, let me press F6, and I have data of one entry here. So let me look at this information. So it's exactly from date and to date and etc. And from country is still the GB. Why is it GB? I didn't give you, okay, because my triggers are not configured for this one. Okay, that's fine. So I have all the data specified with this one. And if we look at all the local local parameters, so is context, so this context, if you see, it gives us all the information and node key and etc. They all, if we are dealing with a business object, it's always going to be the concept of using the GUIDs. So these GUIDs, each and every key field or identifier is going to be a separate GUID. So that's where we see, that's how we see the business object. So, and this one, association parameters. So I think we don't have any associations at the moment. We don't see anything here. And IT key, if you see in the IT key, it's giving us the node key here. Whatever, sorry, record key. So this is going to be the key of this particular record that we are editing here. Okay, and what else? I will modify, and if we want to modify something, if we want to apply some changes, then we will use this I will modify instance. Let me go here, and in this one, not this one, if you see here, I will modify, this is the reference we are talking about. And if you see here, I will modify, do modify. In the do modify parameters, if you see here, we have this modification, and we submit the values in the form of this one. So we see what is the node, and change node category, and what is its key, and what is the data of that particular row. Okay, and this will be the type reference data. And changed fields, what fields have been changed. So in our case, we have only the from country and to country, and based on this, if we are changing the trip status to draft or something, we can influence changing this one based on these any of the dependent fields as well. Okay, and that is how these changed fields work. And also the association, if we have any associations, we can mention that association name as well here. Don't think it's a complicated process or something. So once you go across one example, then it will be absolutely very easy to deal with. Okay, so where is my debugger? So that's fine. I'm just going ahead. So the object has been changed. And now let me go here. We see some determinations, and in the determinations, we see some triggers are not configured. Where is this one? Okay, so this is the standard one. Let me create a new determination here. So modify fields. So this is how we just go ahead and create the determinations. and it automatically generates a class for us. We see ZCLTHD modify fields, and where we are doing it as trip header, let's say trip header. And in the category, you see React after modification, React on check and determine, React during save, React before save. So these are the categories we will have. So when exactly we need to trigger this modification block. So whenever user changes an entry and press enter, so the or whenever user clicks on save here, so whenever user clicks on save button, then do trigger this modification, and when exactly you need to trigger this particular modification. That's what this category means. So if we say during save, it's gonna be just before save. The parallel task, so it's a bit difficult to explain between these two, React during save and React before save. This before is exactly um, before knocking or before triggering the save event itself, the React before determination will be triggered. But React during save, whenever it is saving the data, then it will trigger these determinations. So whenever we want to, without any validations or something like that, we can use this during save event to dynamically determine some dependent values, like if user selected the sales organization and the division distribution channel, and if we want to determine the delivery plant, so that can be done during save, because all the inputs whatever needs to user needs to provide, they all are already selected and given, and then the determination we can do during save. Okay. And React after modification, whenever we modify something and press enter, then this modification will trigger automatically. And React on check and determine, so internally that handles, sometimes we can trigger the events manually. We do not want to go into that um, uh, that kind of complexity right now. So we'll leave that one, and let's select React after modification, finish it. And now we see the triggers are configured for this particular one. So let me go into this class. Okay, so this does not exist because we have not activated this business object. So let me activate this business object. Perfect. The business object is, no, it is still activating. Let it get activated. Yes, it is activated now. And let me go into this class. Sorry. Modify fields, the header. Again, I would like to go into this one. You see 24. We're going to change and execute. I will just copy this code from here and put it there, and let us try triggering this one. Okay, and let me remove the breakpoint from here. And this one, let me activate this one. Okay, good. Let me put external breakpoint here. Let me change this back to GB. And for this one, yeah, and if I go ahead and see the data of this one on modification, so if you see, it is not giving me the old data right now. Okay, so perfect. So now based on this one, sorry, I'm just saving it as GB and again going back. So in our case, let us say trip status based on this one. For example, that's not the right scenario to do that. Or if we want to populate this change that and changed by anyway, that we are leaving to the framework. We don't want to disturb those fields. And let's say what can we change here? So let's say we want to change the trip status to draft. Still it is in draft, for example, let's say. So how we are going to do that? So now the data, we have it in our LT data right now. And we are going to use this IO modify instance. And in the IO modify instance, where is this one? For W read, it's not the read, modify. So do modify is the one which we are going to use, and IT modification. So this is what the type is going to be. And it is a table type. Let me take the structure of this one, and that's what it is. So in this one, what I do, so loop at LT data ls data, and in the ls data I just modify the trip status to D. So I have modified this trip status to D at the moment, and this is where I should call my IO modify instance as well. IO modify, do modify. So in this do modify, I have a parameter called the IT modify. So let me take this parameter and pass on to this one. And beforehand, we should fill up this LT modify with the relevant information. So let me hide the signature for better space. LS modify here. So in the LS modify, we know that we have these number of fields which we need to pass on to this IO modify. And in this one, each one having which is node and change category and etc. here. So let us pass all this information to this one. Come on, where is this one? This is going to be the data reference that we have in our LS data. At this one, there is some syntax which is released in 7.4. Okay, that's fine. We don't want to do that one. Okay, yes. Reference of this one. Okay, now it simply goes maps this reference into this one. And now we look at the other fields. Node, what is the node, whether it is BO? No, not BO, it's yeah, BO node key or key field, we can straight away pass on. And this key field is going to be this one in LS data. And in this one, we have key, and that key is going to be this one. And there is changed fields in this LO modify. What are the fields changed in this one? Changed fields. So in this changed fields, it's going to be a straight value assignment. That's going to be the table type, and the changed fields, if we want to say, we can even put this type of this one. It's a string table, and we can straight away give the names of the fields. So in this case, what is the field name that we have changed is trip status. Trip status is my field name, and I'm going to convert this to uppercase. Perfect. And let me append LT modify. I think key is fine, and node data is fine. Change to fields, yes. Change to fields is fine. Do we have anything on this one? Nope. Okay, anyway, we'll see if something not working. I think we can fix that one. IO modify, and we have another method as well in this one. So this takes all the information in one go. Okay, and in this case we can call this method outside the loop, whereas it collects all the information and it goes ahead and it updates the information in one go. But if we want to go one by one record, and then there is a separate method on this IO modify update. If you see this update, so this update is going to take care individual records, if you see here. Okay, so let us try with update right now without collecting, or that's even doesn't matter for us. I will modify and update. And if you see here, this node, we already know that isctx and node key, and this key is going to be the key of the exact record, whatever we have in our modification list that we are making change. And this is data is going to be the same here, reference of this one, is data. And same, if you see the changed fields is also same in individual operation as well. Okay, what is this one? Okay, here there is a period. Let me check this one. Trip status and row type of name are incompatible. This is T, and okay, so this one is, no, it's a table. We have one line. That's okay. I can. String is not a structure. What is its a structure here for W name? And this one, table type, built-in type. Okay, that's a string table. And this one, changed fields, I just wanted to go into this one as well. Come on. Let it come back. Come on. Yep. Do the second time. Yeah, that's fine. So let me activate this one. Perfect, it is activated. I'm going to comment this one, the bulk process one. Okay. So now let me go back to my application and see changing again from IN to IN, and let me save this one. So if I try to save this one, it has saved the entry, and let's see this one. What is this? 003. It didn't trigger me the breakpoint. Where is this one? 3. Okay. So if you see, 3 has automatically moved out of this because we have the filter on trip status yes, right? So if I remove this filter, that should come back with the status D here. Oh, come on. Where is 3 gone? Okay, the from country, there is another filter here. So I have from country as GB. I'm removing this, and as it is a mandatory field, I'm applying as in India. And if I click on go, let me click on go. If you see here, it has been applied. The trip status has been changed to D. Okay, so if we fail something here, in this case, if we look at this signature, so ET failed key, so and EO message. So this is the message instance again. So we have all the reference available at this place itself. If you go into this one, and we will easily get what is what needs to be done, and what is the method to report a message, and etc. If you see here, the framework is giving us the message manager instance, and if we want to add any message, we can add the message here. So let me go ahead and add some message onto this one, and we have different kinds of message adding methods. If we want to add an exception or add a message, or if we want to check on this severity or etc. And let me go into add message method. If you see is message I have, so this is purely going to be the message type on variables, or let me add, if I check the add IO message, again this is from the IO message, and this is IO message, or A list of messages with a new location. Okay, I think this is the better one for us to use now. So let me go ahead and use this method, add message. So in this case, what we can check, there is some error, not sure where. If the country is, or this should be part of validation actually, but even in the determinations, we can give the messages anyway. From country equals to country, then EO message, add message. So in the IS message, what are the fields we have in IS message? This fields message type. Or yeah, that's fine. We just give the information message, but we are going to stop it. And message ID is going to be 00. Let me say message number again 000, and message v1 equal to domestic travel. Okay, and if you want to give the node key here and also the key, and if we want to specify an attribute, so we can even specify an attribute on which the message has to be reported. And if you see the node key, we know that it's there in the ISCTX. Just go ahead and pick this IS node key, and key is going to be this one, and this is the key, and attribute is going to be the from country. Okay, and in this case we should tell, okay, you are reporting a message, that's fine, but what is its key? We have to specify the key into et failed key table. So here we have a key here. This is the key. We are saying this record is not allowed for saving further or taking it further. We need to stop this one. So in this one, let's see what is the structure it has. It's just a key and the value here. So now append value of key equals to this one to et failed key. So let's check this one. Yeah, perfect. And here, let's say exit. So let me go into this application We have this one already, but let me pick up some other record. So if you see, I'm not even refreshing the application this time. I'm straight away going ahead and making changes to it, and it is automatically reflecting the changes, because we have not made any changes at the CDS level. It's the layer that we are making changes in the at the program level. So whereas there is nothing to populate or onto the UI. So whenever there is a event triggered from here, it straight away goes and runs the application code in the backend. So in this case, let me put the breakpoint for our understanding and save. Not sure if stops it from saving, but hoping so, because this is not how we do the validations. We should use always validations. Okay, so whenever you use something on the determinations, it goes and terminates like that. Let me see whether I'm doing it right or not. Maybe the current application has internet-gated termination. Okay. Short dump. That's good. Short dump. And let me try something. Let me separate this one. Oh, sorry, I'm writing JavaScript. LS message, that's okay. Attribute, I'm guessing everything is okay. Attribute, it's going to be string. Okay. And this default time is going to be 2 lifetime. Transition, that's fine. Activate it. Oops, there is some other thing. It's going to be same again, I guess. But yes. So if you go back, where is this one? And yes. I'm saying yes, but okay. So if you see here, there is a little icon has been added. So with the short term whatever, and similarly the message will be added onto this one, but we will cover this one part of our validations. Okay, so let's not take this as part of our determinations. So now we have understood that these determinations will determine something dependent information based on the inputs that user has given. So that is why or that is the purpose we have the determinations here. Okay, and now let me comment this one as well. There's a trip status. Otherwise, if you create create any of the request, then automatically it's going to be moving the status. If you change or create whatever, it's automatically going to move the status to D. And even if you think about our trip planner requirements, if the request is getting created very first time, then obviously we need our trip status trip status into draft status. So that is where we can use our determinations. Okay, so before you saving this request, change the status to draft. So that's how we can use these determinations. And the rest of the fields here created by change date and etc. They are administrative data, and we have some specific annotations available and to make the system to understand. Okay, look, these are the system fields. We do not want to influence in between, and also if we are developing our own program, then of course we will be populating this information, psi datum and psi uname and etc. But for BOPF framework, how it needs is it's at transactional layer. This is items, and where is this one? And not this one. Okay, so this is the one. So in this place, we just mentioned that created by user. It's like we did for amount reference fields. The semantics, it's again going to be semantics dot. If you see, there are more hits are coming on this one. Where is that user? No, come on. Let me scroll down. So if you see here, system date dot created at. If you see, so created at is going to, oh sorry, this is the created by user, right? Let me move on that to created at. And similarly, we have last change that as well. So change that is going to be, let me last change that. So by this, what framework will understand? Okay, so these are the fields that the system has to populate onto this one. Okay, and for this created by, where is created by? Again, for this created by is the same way we have the semantics dot user dot created by true, and also for is changed by, for this changed by last changed by, they are perfect. So by this, the BOPF framework will automatically populate these fields onto the system. So let me activate it. And in our backend table, if you see on these, any of these header data, we don't have any changed. We have only few changed by and changed at timestamp populated. So if there is nothing, automatically the default value will be taken for timestamp. Sorry, this is created at okay. Changed on and changed at is 0. Let me go ahead and make some changes right now on this application. Go back, leave this page, close this one, and let me pick some request 10 and edit, not from GB, let's say FR France, request number 10. Okay, again it's going to update the command. It's doing something here. Nope, I don't have anything here.
It is inactive mode.
Oh, sorry. Yep, thank you. I didn't activate it. That's my mistake. Let me save it again. Again, this has some error. Let me refresh this one. Okay. We are not giving the value to this one, so let me not update anything on the modification. So let us go here, edit. So for no, assign type conflict, something in this one itself. So maybe change to fields, key something happening on this part. As we know the purpose of this one, we can deal with this type conflicts, whatever the ABAP related issues. Let me go into this request again, leave the page. Where is this? Okay. Come on. What is this type? So this may be because created of structure created at date. So this is what is causing issue. Let me see. Created at structure on our trip hatch. So created at is going to be timestamp, and I think this has to be some length, the relevant length. I guess there is some specific length. Semantics dot created at should be having some specific type. Let me find that out. Come on. There is something BOPF data elements created by user, but we want the timestamp. Date time item created and date time changed. This is again same. SNWD created at. If you see, this is the data element or the domain we should be using for created at and changed at timestamps. So let me go ahead and change this one. 21. Yeah, I remember that. So created at. So it's not going to be timestamp. and that was the EPM example one, but we must be having this TZN data elements available in our productive versions, but we should have a look at that one. So for time being, I'm just using the same one in our system here, and changed that. So we have created that and changed that. Let me activate this one. Errors. What are those errors? Structures change at field level. Convert a table. Okay, that's fine. So this one we know this why why it happens, because there is some data in this table. We should always go into 14 and adjust the database table. So direct, not activate and adjust the database table. So now it goes and adjusts the data in the table, and it activates the database table. Um, So perfect. So now the table has been activated. And now let us come back to our business object, and to ensure we just reactivate our business object, that it is taking the latest structures, updated structures of our database table. Yes, that's done. And let me scroll to pick up the request. Leave this one, and for France, for example, and let's save this one. And again, we have something. This time, what was that? I created a date and structure. Again, it's the same. Let me go ahead and refresh it for go to overview and then activate this one. This is already activated. Persistent structure. Let me check that one. So, but this is still referring to the created at and timestamp. So not the business object. Let me go into the transaction layer of our this one, auto items, and not this one, trip planner. Where is the trip planner? Yes, this is the one. So let me activate this one. So this is what goes ahead and regenerate the business object. So it's activating right now. So this one is activated for us. So let me go ahead and refresh on the business object. And if you see this persistent structure, so now it has been reflected on this particular one. So whenever we see something not reflecting on our business object, it's not the business object that we should activate. We should always activate our transactional CDSU, where it regenerates all the business object relevant things. So let me go here now and let me go select 8 for example, and let me edit. So again, I'm selecting FR. I'll just try to make this FR work for us. Again, we see some error. Created a error again. Not sure why. We have refreshed everything, and we are not doing any type conversions as well in this case, and it is reflected. And the combined structure, let me look at this one. This is the include structure. Yeah, perfect. Created on, and we are not using this anymore. SNWD change that. Let me trigger the save again. So semantics dot, go to variables. LS node. LS node is going to be semantics dot created and date. I guess the field name also must be the same. I think no. Okay, semantics dot created at date, created at. Okay, and let me go further. Of structure ls data. Where is this ls data? Okay. So It happens, don't worry. So if I go ahead and create new request, so as that is an existing entry, fr and in. Okay, and the strip ID is something we need to populate by default. How we can populate that one? Let me come here and let me look at our dpc.ext. Where is our dpc.ext? Trip planner. Trip planner dpc.ext and travel header. Create. Create deep entity, and we have this one here. Trip status. Let me change that one to D. And last modified data, that's okay. And trip status, and also trip ID is going to be this one. And for this one, what I do, I'll just go ahead and change the configuration for triggers configuration. Yeah. Yeah, modify fields, triggers configured, and I'll change this to React during save. So I want this to happen during save. Where is this one? Save, yes. And activate. And this class is also activated. Now let me save this one. Okay, the object has been created. The new object has been created. Let me see the FR. Go. No items. Interesting. I don't see anything has been created in the system. There will be these small things stopping us from doing all this stuff. So whenever you plan to have the transactional behavior, these are the little difficult at the beginning whenever we try to create. And okay, so trip planner, modify fields, create and update, that's fine. It's not going to be the GB far as well. I don't see the entry with the F4. And let me save this. Yes, this is the message we are getting on the key missing. So this key missing, I expected this in the beginning, but not here. Return React on check as well. Let's say not on during save. Activation failed, error save problem. Create what is this one? Not delete, and I want this to be triggered on this one. Sorry guys, it is taking more time than I expected, but this is how it's going to be in the reality. Let me see what are these errors. It's activated this time. Actually, I could prepare the working examples and I can present, but by that way, we won't be seeing the real things, what happens and how we're going to solve them. But it is taking more time now. And here, Okay, and it's going to generate the number. That's all fine. So the entry has been created now. Let us see whether that is really created, and it should be in the draft status. Perfect. So we have the draft status request created at the moment, and if we go into this one, we see the information, the changed by and created by default. Still we don't see the created at changed at values populated, so we will see that. No issues. So there's state from and state to. We don't see these fields at all available on our screen. Nobody has observed them. Are we adding those fields at all? Did we assign them to any of the field groups in our metadata extension? Let me see that. So change that, created that, yes, we have included, but if you see the from state to state and travel start travel start date and travel to date, we have not included them in any of the field group. That's the reason they're not being showed on our application as well. Okay, so now let us go ahead and implement the transactional behavior for item as well. Then we work both together. So on the items, same whatever we have done to activate the transactional behavior on header, we just go ahead and activate this transactional processing enabled, and we will not be using this composition root on the items, as it is going to be the subnode of this one. I mean travel header. So we do not want to use that. But okay, so this is not the right place. Let me go into the transactional layer of items. So this is the transactional layer of items. I was using the consumption layer. So yes, and trip AI is going to be my right active persistence, and perfect. So I don't need to do anything else on this one. Let me go ahead and activate this one. So this one is activated, and we see the okay, so this is item, and this item again, it can have its own childs as well. So in that case, obviously this can be root as well. And let me activate this one. And once we build the relationship between the items and the header, that time it might stop us having this root on this particular items business object. So now we have the business object created for items as well. So now let me go into the consumption layer of this one and add the same, but we just delegate this job from the consumption layer, and we remove these additional annotations, whereas the transaction layer will be having those information. Okay, perfect. So in this case, we will be building the association between the transaction layers. The transactional layer of items and the transaction layer of the header. So here we have items anyway available, but we will be mentioning same in the items level as well. So we will build the association to the header, how it will be star to 1 or 1 to, sorry, the minimum cannot be 1, sorry, star 1-to-1 relation on to the transaction layer of the trip planner on projection dot trip ID equals to, and I forgot to mention the alias name, header underscore header dot trip ID, and we will publish this or expose this from this one as well. So let me activate this one. On the consumption layer, anyway, we have the association from header to items, but at the transactional layer, we do not have association from items to header. So we built the association right now. So here we have a specific annotation to be used to establish the business object relationships, and that is again object model dot association dot type association type. So this association type is the keyword which will specify the relationship between the item and the parent. So in this case, if you see, we are on trip planner transactional view, and from here the items is going to be the composition child in this case. So we will use the composition child. By this way, we just mention that, okay, so this is going to be the child from this trip planner. And at the same time, we go to the child and we specify object model dot association dot type. And at this place, if you think about the parent, yes, this is going to be parent, and also as well as the root as well. So the trip planner is going to be root and as well as parent. Root is, there will be only one root across the business objects, but there can be multiple parents in particular traverse in the business object. So let me Come on. Not sure. It's not fully cooperating the system as well. Yeah, so let's see. Yes, that has gone now. So let me activate the views. Where is this one? Yeah. Save this one, activate them. So trip, planner, and not full join the items, both of them. So they are getting activated. Let's see if we get any errors. Perfect. So they are activated right now. And what is this one? I see some error here. Um, is already in business object processing framework. BO view is already used in business object items. So this is what I was expecting, and this composition route, as they are part of association and navigations at the moment, we do not need to have this composition route at the child level. Let us go ahead and activate them again. So not this one. And so independently, if we are treating that as a route, then yes, we have to go ahead with this one. Otherwise, there will be only one route as part of the entire application. And again, the is already used in business object, and even this one, sorry, not here, and in this place we do not need to have this transactional processing enabled. And let us remove this one as well, activate it. So the child, it just need to tell whether what are the capabilities it is enabled with, and the right active persistence, and the same time the draft capabilities as well. In terms of draft, it has to tell us whether okay, the object has been activated, and still I see some error. View is already in CO items. These errors are really not very descriptive. Transaction processing enabled. Nope, we have removed it. Okay, that's fine. I'll check that one. Why that one? If I refresh our app, come on. Yes, it is refreshed. Let me open this one. If I go to create, where is this one? Yeah. So due to that error, we are not able to see that to create as well. Let me go ahead and build the relationship at consumption level as well. What is this one? Yeah, consumption, it is delegated. Items. Association to projection dot trip ID equal to header dot trip ID. And on this one again, we should have the object model association annotation dot association dot type is going to be the to composition parent and also to composition root. Okay, and in this consumption view, we just say the items are going to be the to composition child. So it's going to be the child. And in this one, yeah, this is consumption, and this we are saying it is delegated. Not sure this has to be present. Not sure why it is stopping me, but let me see trip planner CO items, all three together. So sometimes when when you try to activate CDS views, so individually they may not get activated, but when you try to activate all together, they will get activated all together. So this is a small thing that I noticed, but not sure the reason why. If you have any dependency, whenever you try to activate your CDS views, multiple CDS views where they are dependent, then try activating all together if they are throwing errors individually. So let me go to create. I don't see it. It's okay. Yeah, we are at this one, and this is the child. We don't have anything else. Right, active persistence, trip AI, that's correct. And what else we are missing? So it's obviously it's going to be trip item is going to be the semantic key. It's just the key which is specify. Apart from this, we don't have anything here. That's not going to be impacted anyway. Here we have the business object category, composition root, items. Uh, yeah, trip planner is being used as an association. Items. Okay. Yeah.
We have association annotation is there, right? Changat?
Yes.
But still, this is required association in the view level.
So yes, this is required. So this is for the view level. We are just to tell that object business object framework. This is what the association you have to go and build. So if you look at your this business object here, trip planner, let me refresh it. And I'm not sure if that because of that error. So it will build it will bring the child business object as well onto this place. So that is where it builds the relationship. So to do that, this association is required. Okay, and this association we can write only based on these associations. Yeah, was that answered your question, Hari?
Yeah, that error because this transaction view has been defined in the association, right? Item transaction view. Planner. So
Item
that is,
transaction view. Yeah, this is
yeah,
the
trip planner is used, right? Yeah, consumption.
correct.
That is the reason it is saying it is already used.
No, so this is required to build the relationship. So the message it is showing, yes. So the meaning meaning of that message is similar, but they are always a bit tricky. And this is enabled true, and yeah, that's correct. And delegation will be at the consumption level. Yes, this is delegation. I try to activate this one. Nope. Okay, so leave this with me. So I will sort this out. So I don't want you holding for a long time. Okay, not a not a good success today. Okay, so
At least one part is success, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So with the navigations, items creation will do it tomorrow successfully. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.